Welcome to Emergence with Elira, where we explore the fusion of spirituality, psychology, energetics, and entrepreneurship. I'm Elira Tachkuti, your guide on this journey into unfolding new, conscious, heart-based business paradigm and our own emergence through that. I want to talk about how to build meaningful, sustainable businesses that truly resonates with our essence, our integrity, capacity, soft power, and extrasensory, sensitive nature, while redefining success in today's world. And today, we will start with belonging. Belonging in the world, life, business, relationship, family, sometimes that you don't feel like you fit in. It's a very deep topic and very overarching with leadership, with self-leadership. And I will share my story of my own belonging because I feel stories really brings the message grounded way, and how I felt misfit from the first days of my life and how I did find the belonging. How I do keep claiming more belonging in this world. And I really want, my deep heart desire, that after this retreat, you find a little bit more of that in the area you need yourself. Question for you and reflection for you before I share my story. If you think about belonging, this is a little bit triggering question already, but it's important to have these conversations. From 1 to 10, 1 is I don't belong at all. I feel an alien here. 10, I feel very grounded. I feel like at home. I feel fulfilled. I feel like such deep belonging. How deep do you feel you belong to this world in your life as it is now? So when I was born this bright light little goddess baby who spoke perfect language right away. And I was this, I don't know, magical baby with this like wise old soul, and animals were gathering around me. And I was like literally coaching my parents in a way from like this, wise little baby. And I had this deep connection, like a lot of children do. They have deep connection with the world. And I was born extrasensory already. And it took me a while to figure out that people don't see the world I see. Just later, way later, I figured out like, oh, so they don't see dead people. Oh, that's not normal. Okay. But with that came a lot of kind of backlash of life, where I was like called weird. I was called too sensitive. I was called winter garden flower, because my world was always very, very rich. I could talk to trees, I could talk to animals, I could see humans, not humans. Like it was a lot going on. Also, where we lived on the land where 10,000 Jews were killed. So I was hanging with dead people all the time. But it also was very overwhelming for me because there was a lot of trauma, like intensity, that I didn't know how to deal with. And my parents also didn't know how to manage me and how to guide me in that. So I was crazy at times to people who didn't know what I'm going through. And then at a certain point, I shut it down because I started to go to school and I just wanted to be normal. I just wanted to be like everyone. I want to have friends. I want to be loved. I want to be lovable. I wanted to belong. So I shut it down. I shut down my heart. And the hardest thing was that I loved animals. Like I have this amazing, special connection with animals. And it was so strong when I was a child that neighbors' animals were running to me. Like if neighbors couldn't find their cat or dog, they knew they had to search for me. So I was like constantly like surrounded by animals. Like they're like a magnet came to me. And when I shut it down, it stopped. It's like I shut down the connection with nature. My best friend was the tree, the birch tree. And then when my mom cut it off, I grieved for months. It was my first grieving experience because it was my best friend. And I gave such a lecture to my mom, like, this tree didn't ask to be killed. It wanted to live. Why did you do that? I couldn't comprehend that, how people could do that. So I was this very sensitive, very pure kind of being who came in this like very harsh environment in a very small village. And then I thought, okay, this part of me somehow doesn't fit, doesn't belong. So I shut it down and I leaned back into other part of me, which is also very contradictory compared to this sensitive, gentle, divine being. And I leaned back into that badass, ambitious me, this leader, this, like really ambitious one. And I started to go into the corporate world, climb business world, climb career ladders, like I'm going to change the world. Because from the beginning, I had this like, I'm going to change the world. I just didn't know how. So I was trying lean back in different parts of me. And I went to this business world and I was quite successful there. I was climbing those career ladders and I was promoted. People were drawn to me, but at the same time, it burned me out 4 times. I had a burnout 4 times because that world was not built for sensitive people like me, like you. I didn't fit the template, but I tried my best. And the worst, I tried to fit the definition of success. I thought like, okay, everyone says when you're achieving amount of money, position, leadership, then you can influence and change the world. And I had very clear vision since childhood, how I want to see the world, what's going to happen. I had that part of me of like why I'm here very strongly, but the how is the most difficult part. And more I climbed career ladders, more this extrasensory part started to come out as well, because you can never fully shut it down. Like you cannot fully shut down who you are, no matter how you reject it, no matter how much you disown it. And I started to, especially when I started to go to management team, and I spend a lot of time around management team leadership roles, I started to come too close and too powerful to the men, especially the leaders who actually were not human. And they were not human because they didn't have connection with the heart. They didn't have connection with empathy. And they didn't understand me. I didn't understand them. And closer I came to them in their heart, more I was spit out and harmed and really kind of burned myself. And I was still pushing through. I was still, with this mission and vision, like, oh, I want to change how human relates. I have this vision how I want to change the structure of how people are with the work in the world. And then there was this pivotal moment in Spain, in Barcelona, in the fancy hotel on 21st floor. Like my grandmother was telling me stories, like, I remember it was like Sunday, the sky was blue and clear. I remember that moment that vividly because it shifted like direction of my life. So I was in this 24th floor. I had VIP room and it was so fancy that I could press the button next to my bed and the curtains open up automatically and I see the Barcelona seaside view and it's so beautiful. And I'm like in 1 hour, I have to go to do a workshop about the values, which I also love. This is my jam, to the team. And, like I'm part of management team and I know they're preparing me promotion after this event. It was a kickoff event of our company. And then, what happened? I was sitting there, I was like looking in that window and I was like, this is it. I achieved it. I'm successful. I made it. And then very, very icky feeling kicked in because I was so fucking tired. I was so numb. I was so depleted that I couldn't take anything in. I see the view and I cannot feel it. I see the beautiful room and I cannot really enjoy it. And then it felt like I'm licking ice cream through the glass. You know that feeling? It's like you're so numb. And then I was like, is this success? Is it how it's supposed to feel? Like, it's not meaningful. It's not fulfilling. I can't even feel it. Like, is this, am I being lied to? What is this? And then I went down and there was VP HR at that time that I was striving to become. And then she's sitting there having breakfast with me and she's taking one pill after another. And she's telling me how she has a huge headache, how she cannot sleep. And I was like, am I going to this? Am I going to become this? Is this what I'm striving for? You know, and this was a pivotal moment. And after that event, I resigned. And I started my own movement, my own company, because I felt it's not only about success, it's about meaningful success. It's about creating something fulfilling for ourselves. It's ability to fully experience life. That's what for me became a success. And I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to do that. Like I wake up and I feel so excited about life and everything what I'm going to do through the day. I'm feeling so rich through the senses, through my heart. That kind of success I want to experience. That's what for me success is. But then, you know, like how? Because I had to drop all the stories, what I was told to what success is. And then I started again to pendulate those two parts of me. So I started to come back to that spiritual side of me, search, because that side of me was like, hey, like, why did you abandon me? Like, I have so much wisdom there to share. Like, there's so much richness. Why did you leave me alone? So I started to go to spiritual fields. And I know some of you burned really big time. I thankfully, like that part of me, that extrasensory part of me, could see very quickly how much the most sophisticated abuse exists in those, at that time, spiritual communities and fields. And I was like, I don't belong there either. Like, there's so much hard disconnection, so much manipulation, like really sophisticated manipulation that I've never seen. And I was like, no, I don't belong there. And in a way, I even avoided to use word spiritual for longest time because of that. And then I started to pendulate again into that part of like, let's lean back to the ambitious part. So it's like, let's go build this, like, because there's this trend of like, oh, let's build 7 figures and like make a movement and be visionaries, and all this coaching industry is booming. So I started to pendulate there. And then I feel like I don't belong there. I don't fit in. I don't care about 7 figures. I care, how do you hold that? Who you are when you receive this money, who you become. That's what I care about. Nobody talks about that. Like, I don't care like how much money you have. I care, how do you hold those $10 and $10,000? Who are you being? That's what I care about. That's for me was success, our own becoming. And this is where I fell in love with becoming me, becoming all of me. And this is where I started to bring back those different parts of me. So I went a healing journey of this reclamation of this extrasensory part of me. And it was a journey. And it still is. And I incorporated that in my business. And I also incorporating the ambitious part of me, because if I just lean back on one part, the other part starts to cry. And then I realized also, I'm not my parts. I'm the relationship between those parts. That's what self-leadership is for me. How do you manage that relationship between all those parts of you that want to show up in the world? Because I also have insanely hermit side of me. I need to disconnect. I need to be with me. Nobody asks anything from me, like complete disconnect and hermit, integrate, reflect, go to my depth. And then I have this, let's go and serve, let's build community, let's build a movement side of me. And the moment I focused on this relationship of how to honor all parts of me, that's how I shaped my business around those parts. That's how I shaped my offers. That's how I shaped my people. That's how I shaped the access to me. So, because I also tried all these templates of like business consulting and what you have to say, what you have to do, and strategies. And then I realized I just felt more disconnected from myself than anything. I started to doubt myself. What's wrong with me? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what else is wrong? Why it's not working? And then another template. And then I just figured out I've never meant to fit in a template that was not built for us. We never meant to belong to the world where we shouldn't, because we came here to create a new one. So if you feel like you don't belong, it's not your fault. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe actually it's not your fault. It's maybe they are wrong. But very sensitive and heartfelt people, they're usually the first one to doubt themselves, the first one to roll in unworthiness, the first one to like, because they care, they sense deeply, they feel like deeply. And I know that so like to the bones of myself. I'm talking everything from my heart, from my embodiment, from my journey. But the key thing that helped me, like fundamental thing that really helped me to bring all those parts of me, to reclaim all those parts of me, and to belong, was decision that no matter how much I'm rejected, I'm alienated, I'm attacked, and I'm attacked much, much more than normal people. Because every time you power up, you are more exposed to all kinds of energies. Every time I encounter this, I said, no matter how much I feel like I don't belong, I will belong to myself. I will not reject myself, because what we're trying to do when we're trying to fit in, we neglect some parts of ourselves. And there are so many boxes, like you have to build a heart-based business, but you cannot have a lot of money, or you build prosperity, but then you have to compromise integrity. You cannot be a good human being or a healer. It's like, I like all those boxes, but I don't want to choose one box. I want to belong all of them. Like why? What is this boxing in a way that we have to fit in and we don't feel like we fit in? And every time I went there, and every time I felt like I don't belong, every time I was misunderstood, every time I was alienated, and I felt alienated the most of all these things. There was also, I feel like you maybe relate also this feeling of persecution deep inside. Like if I go there with all my authenticity, with all my heart, with whatever, there's like, oh, feels like death. And every time in these moments, I remember there was a moment, again, one of those moments on my gray sofa in Amsterdam. I had this pivotal moment. I wrote down the word stay. And I don't remember if I came up with it or I read it somewhere, but that stay really kind of was my mantra. What it stands of stop abandoning yourself. And every time I felt rejected, I stopped and I said, stay, stay. Because what we do, we try to reject ourselves. We are the harshest judges and inner critics of ourselves. If I show up and even nobody shows up in the room, I don't make a meaning that I'm a failure, I'm unworthy, or I'm nothing. I say, stay. You belong to yourself. And more, I said to myself, stay, stay. I belong to myself. I belong to myself. More space I started to claim for myself. With all those parts that doesn't fit. With all those parts that don't belong. I just let them to belong to me. Nobody else but to me. And then the magic started to happen. At a certain point, a lot of people fell off. At a certain point, I was joking to my best friend. Thankfully, he stayed with me for 12 years. I don't know how he managed that, but love him to bits. I said to him, you know, I feel like my circle of friends became a dot. It's not even a circle anymore. It's like everything started to fell off. And I was like, but I kept saying, stay, stay with myself, stay, stay. And I had to honor this season where I had to withdraw. I had to withdraw in this hermit phase. I think a lot of us got also going through that, where there's the healing phase. A little bit disconnection from the noise, disconnection from influence of others. So you can hear your own voice. You can hear your own whispers. You can hear your own creativity. You can hear all those parts, because often, and we talk more tomorrow about self-leadership, the self-leadership often happens in these slight whispers that we override. Those slight boundaries, those slight creative ideas that we kind of bulldozer because it's too much noise. And then I said, I just stay. I belong to myself. I belong to myself. No matter how I'm rejected, every time I reject it, I just take it as the higher invitation to belong even deeper to myself. And that's the art. And then people start to gather. Then somehow a small group of people, clients, started to come and stayed for years with me. And then the animals started to show up, and one and another and third and fourth. So I have now 4 animals in my care, actually 5, because neighbor's cat screams at my door like its life depends that he's here. So I reclaim this part of my extrasensory nature, where I'm again living in this nature, like a magical way, magical nature. But I'm also reclaiming this badass, ambitious woman who knows I care about the world. I care about the movement. I know there are bigger things that I'm meant to do. And I honor that part of me. And the relationship between those is the self-leadership and the dance, the art. It's a deep knowing yourself. And this is how I found belonging to myself.